Hi there, this is Ian Wright, and this is part 3 of 4 parts of Meditations for Chronic Pain, where we're looking at different techniques and methods in dealing with chronic, severe pain, which is constantly gnawing at our consciousness. And we need to do some very specific techniques to actually give ourselves little windows of calm in this, because otherwise it can be overwhelming. Equally, these meditations can be used with anxiety as well, because with anxiety you've constantly got this sort of subtlety. It's not pain, it's more fear or anxious feelings instead of pain, but they tend to be constant even if they're in the background. So you can use that equally for this. At the moment, actually, I'm writing a book on anxiety and changing brain patterns in anxiety, which is, well, hopefully I'll be finished that in a few months' time. I'm right in the middle of it, so I've just come from doing that. Okay, here we're going to talk about attention. And for me, if we can get a grip on and become conscious of our attention and where we place it, we can almost get a control of our brain. You see, in chronic, severe pain, there is a stimulus, be it an organ, a joint, the back, the head, the jaw, wherever it is that's giving you pain. And that's some sort of area or tissue that is producing some chemicals that are stimulating nerve endings. And these nerve endings pass up through the spinal cord, switch back in part of the brain called the thalamus, and then go to an area called the sensory cortex, where we sense things. And also at that point they're joined by other parts of the brain which throw in an interpretation of them, like an emotional reaction, or maybe a reaction of fear or upsetness from different parts, like the amygdala. So what we have to do in these situations, what we're trying to do, is in a way desensitize our brain, because what happens in those situations is the brain, it's like an electronic pathway. It becomes overstimulated and locks into almost like a constant buzz. So literally, I mean, if someone who's in constant pain, certain parts of their brain are alive. If you look at a functional MRI of someone in constant pain, there are certain parts of their brain in the sensory cortex thalamus that literally light up. They are overstimulated, and what we have to do is employ different parts of our brain to try and take that away, that sensitization or facilitation is what it's actually called, of that part of the brain. And by becoming aware and conscious of our attention, we can learn to shift it, and we can shift it in lots of different ways, and I'm going to go through it a few different ways. Now, what is our attention? Our attention is our conscious awareness in this situation. It's where we apply our attention through our senses. We can do it through our hearing, we can do it through our vision, we can do it actually through our smell and our taste, but also our consciousness comes from more internal sensors. Like there are interoreceptors which actually pick up sort of movements, for example, and senses in our organs, like our pancreas. And this sense of how we feel comes from a mixture of our external senses, our internal senses, and also there's proprioception, which is our understanding of where our body lies in space, and that is governed by some of the receptors in the joints. So we've got these 3 different layers of receptors, sensory receptors, that combine, also coupled with our consciousness, our conscious thinking, which is linked to our belief systems. All of these areas come in and bring us into our conscious awareness. And it's all of those things at once. Now, but we know where our attention is. For example, my attention, as I'm talking to you, if I look, my eyes are on some files in front of me at the desk. But actually, my attention is on speaking. But our attention can be one or two places at once. I can talk and look at the files, or I can talk and I can hear music in the background. So what we're needing to do here is to become aware of where our attention is. Now, when we have chronic pain, our attention is dragged in one place only, to the pain. Always to the pain. And that, wherever we go, we can distract ourselves, as in by looking at the sea or thinking a nice thought for a minute, but we'll be distracted back to where what is drawing us, and it's like visually, for example, if there's some firework display in front of us, our attentional awareness will go to the firework display. Or if there's a beautiful piece of music playing, our attentional awareness will go to that. What I'm wanting us to do is to become aware and conscious of where our attention is. And in doing so, we can move it at will. So we can move it away from that sensory pain to somewhere else. So let's do this as a practical while we're doing it. Let's feel it out. So the first thing we want to do is sit quietly, find yourself somewhere quiet where your external senses are not distracted by nature or children or whatever else is around you. So it's quiet. Close your eyes. Sit comfortably so your attention isn't drawn to where you're sitting and what you're sitting on. And just tune into this quietness in your breathing, which is what we've been doing before. Okay? And just let your body relax a little bit. Now, what will happen now is your attention, as soon as you start to relax a little bit, will be drawn straight to the pain. That's the normal situation. Fine. Let's just be aware that our attention is at where the pain is, okay? Now, what I want us to do is to try a few different things with this attentional awareness, okay? If the pain is too much, let's, keeping our eyes closed, take our awareness out of our body, okay? So let's bring our awareness to the room that we're in. So our attention is not in our body, it's in the room. We feel the room. It's this feeling, this felt sense. We're feeling the room. That's it. Okay? And that takes it away from the pain. The point is to become aware of where your attention is. Now, where we place our attention can be real or imagined. So let's take our attentional awareness to this beautiful sea, and using our imagination, allow a sense of the sound of the sea, the wash of the waves rolling quietly on this beach, and it's very peaceful, just this gentle sound of waves, and it's soft. The sky is bright blue and the sun is out. Feel the sun, sense it with your imagination on your skin. That's it. So our attentional awareness is now at the sea, but let's be conscious of that, okay? And if we can do that very precisely, what it does is takes our consciousness away from where the pain is. But the point is we do that when we can try and do that, but if we're conscious of it, it adds a great deal of power to it, and it can start to desensitize that reactive brain. Okay, so find a peace place, a place of peace. Is it the imagination of a sofa that's very comfortable, a crackling fire, a house in the mountains, it's snowing outside, and you're safe and warm inside, cuddled up? Yeah, that's a nice sense. When we try and use our imaginative feeling, feel the warmth of the fire, hear that soft kind of stillness of snow falling. There's a sort of quality to it, isn't there? Feel the warmth, feel the comfort of the chair, hear in your mind's eye, in your imagination, the crackling of a fire. So if we bring in these senses and use our imagination with those senses, we really can feel like we're there. So one thing I want you to do is find your peace place. And your peace place is not disturbed by the pain or the anxiety. It's a place where you are comfortable. And when your pain is bad, go to the peace place and let it distract you, and feel it and sense it, and use your senses all together to get an overwhelming sense. So these parts of the brain are being stimulated in a different way than the pain. That's very important. Now, if we've got pain in one area of our body, say it's in our spine, let's try something else. Let's try and take our conscious awareness to another part of our body, somewhere that actually feels different. Let's try something. Let's see, where is the bit of your body that feels the nicest? Something that, because in any pain, even if it's debilitating, there's somewhere else in your body that feels okay. Even if it's just okay. It doesn't even have to feel nice. It feels okay. Take your awareness to something, and if you can change it to something that actually feels sweet, delicate, honey-like in your body, that feels nice. It could be your finger, it could be your toes or your knee or whatever part of you, or your heart, wherever that feels nice. And take your conscious awareness and meet something that feels nice in your body. And the interesting thing is, if you meet something that feels nice, that grows, and that warm feeling will grow, and it will take you away from the other triggers. Okay, that's an important one to work. The last one I want us to do, which is a little bit of a sensory trick, is to sit quietly with our eyes closed and let our attentional awareness go to a perceived horizon. Just let your attention breathe as far as out to the horizon, maybe 20 miles around us, and let your awareness sit and wait at the horizon, and just get a sense of the stillness at the horizon. That's a safe and still and quiet place on the horizon. And then your awareness will slowly come back to you in a quiet, peaceful kind of way. Like a tide coming in very slowly from the horizon. And it takes time. And it's gentle and it's fluid. And it breathes through us. It's beautiful. There. And then the tide can go back out slowly, very slowly, towards that place of stillness on the horizon. This is called the tide, the great tide, the long tide. And it feels healing, it feels nurturing. It's a sense, a quality, a perceptive sense of movement from stillness. And it's a beautiful place to come to, and quietens the pain a little bit, softens it a bit. Okay, there's a lot there. There's 3 or 4 different techniques there, so you may want to go over this a few times. I've put a lot in a little bit of time. I wish you well and pain-freeness to some degree. Thank you.